Recently there was some news on CNN and there were some interviews with some pastors that they called the September 11 the burning day of the Quran. And these are the people that they are planning to burn Quran in their churches. What is the reaction of the panel to this? And does anybody know what happened to that pastor? I know, but I want to get it from you.
Yeah. I think this really, the question not only of burning the Quran, but this wave of anti-Muslim hysteria throughout America really underscores the point that Islamophobia is not a Muslim problem. It is an American problem. We are at a crossroads in our country. We are at a crossroads in our country, especially if we want to reestablish our credibility and integrity in the global arena, especially towards the Muslim world, in terms of how America views religious freedom and coexistence. Either America is the country that we all believe in and aspire to based on the principles of the Founding Fathers, that it is a pluralistic society. It is meant for all people and all faiths. Or it is the America of the exclusive club, that it only belongs to a few and the rest of us are visitors here, or as they view it, a burden to them. This is really the crux of the matter. And when it comes to religion, in terms of that particular reverend in Orlando, it has a religious connotation as well. Is there religious nationalism, where God is viewed as part of the tribe, and God is viewed as somebody that should worship the tribe as opposed to people worshiping God? And we use God to curry favor with politicians and with the rest of society. Or is this notion of religious pluralism, where religion is supposed to be, by the will of God, coexisting with all other religious groups, and we all worship God together and do good works with and vying with one another and doing good deeds? That is the issue as well. Are we for religious nationalism or religious pluralism? And what I see today, unfortunately, is an abomination in terms of what America stands for and what Christianity stands for. And unfortunately, there are even some members in the Jewish community that don't necessarily come out and say they support the Quran burning, they support hysteria against or bigotry against Muslims, but do not do enough to condemn what is happening against this great religion. And we must stand up together as Jews, as Christians, as Muslims, in any kind of xenophobia and any kind of bigotry. This is definitely... I would like to see the leader of the Archdiocese come and say something. I would like to see the leader of the Church of Latter-day Saints, the head of the Board of Rabbis in Southern California. I know Rabbi David Saperstein is making a statement tomorrow. But these lies about Muslims have to end. That Muslims did not condemn 9/11, that Muslims are celebrating on 9/11, that as if we made our holiday at the end of Ramadan to basically fall in line with 9/11. These are lies, and unfortunately, the more you repeat the lies, it becomes a fact. It's not the truth, but it becomes a fact. And this is the essence of propaganda. We've got to end this propaganda because it is turning our country, unfortunately, into a club of people that just want to bash minorities, African Americans, Latino Americans, and now Muslim Americans. Let's end with this kind of history. I know, I have to follow my wife's orders and go, but dividing the victims, what Brother Steve, new title for you today, is asking me about is the number of Muslims who died. And there were hundreds Muslims who worked in the World Trade Center that were attacked by 19 criminals. They are not people following the faith. 19 terrorists who attacked our country. So we should stop dividing the victims of 9/11. As if the Muslims who died on 9/11 and Muslims who were first responders who died on that day as well, we should not say that they're excluded from the suffering and the mourning of our country on 9/11. So, yes. Hundreds?
How many Jews died?
Many Jews died as well. Let's not get into the conspiracy theories or dividing religion on that issue. As my mentor said, The world is not divided into Muslims, Christians, and Jews. The world is divided into stupid people and intelligent people.
Thank you, Salam, and thank you for being here. Okay, now I think that he's not here. We can talk behind his back.
It's hard for me as an American and as a Jew to witness what has been said and what has been proposed and what has already occurred in these last weeks, because my father was born in Germany, and some of my family did not make it out of Nazi Germany. And so I have a very first-hand understanding of what the ultimate end of this kind of behavior can lead to. And I think that it is absolutely at the core, the heartbeat of the Constitution of this country, of the Declaration of Independence of this country, that we are a free people and that we have freedom to worship and freedom to be. We don't have freedom to attack each other. No, and we shouldn't have freedom to attack each other. But what is going on now in this country, it offends me deeply as a Jew. It offends me deeply as an American. And with all due respect to Salam, it's very easy to say I wish more so-and-so leaders would speak out. I mean, everyone speaks when they feel it is the right time and place for them to do that. And I think September 11th is a national day of mourning and remembrance for Americans, for thousands of Americans, and for those Americans' families and friends and communities. And it should not be desecrated. It should not be profaned with the kinds of suggestions that have been made. And finally, as a Jew, I mean, even to hear something as outrageous as the notion of burning the Quran, I mean, we survived this. We know from this. It happened to us in Paris in the 14th century. They threw our holy books into the streets of Paris and burned them up. Of course, they did that not even 100 years ago in Germany. So please God that we all stand up for the rights of all of us as Americans.
On my part, I question the intelligence of that person. Is he condemning a religion as a whole or the book of Quran? By burning the Quran, he's not going to accomplish anything except accomplishing hate and spreading hate among all Americans. Quran is not going to be burned. You're burning papers and ink. The message itself is in every Muslim's heart. And it doesn't make any difference it doesn't accomplish anything if someone says, I'm going to burn the Bible or I'm going to burn the Torah. What does it mean? It means that you hate the religion or you hate the people that impose their will, so to speak, become a terrorist, where are individuals representing themselves, they're not representing the Islam or the religion itself.
Our brother Salam asked for religious leaders to make statements about this. You may not be aware of the fact that the Catholic bishop of the Diocese of St. Augustine in Florida, where Gainesville is located, Gainesville is where this Dove World Outreach Center is located, issued a statement which was read in all of our Catholic parishes this morning, and I'd like to share that with you, if that's all right. I view with great dismay the plan by the members of the Dove World Outreach Center in Gainesville to burn copies of the Quran on the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Out of respect For those members of the Muslim faith, members of our faith community should consider the proposed desecration reprehensible. Now more than ever, we must work towards a mutual understanding and respect between people of differing faith traditions. That means respecting those texts which are considered sacred. The burning of another's faith tradition's sacred text is diametrically opposed to the Catholic Church's ongoing commitment to improving interreligious relations. Furthermore, it presents a counter-witness to the gospel message by engendering fear and hatred rather than the commandment to love our neighbor as ourselves. The proliferation of negative stereotypes in the media, distorted information, and caricatures of Muslims and other faith traditions must be addressed at every level of society. We should promote peace and respect for all people in our communities. The bishop went further than simply issuing a statement to be read at masses this morning. He also composed prayers mandated to be included in the liturgy this morning, and maybe later I'll share one of those prayers with you.
Thank you.
There's a Talmudic concept that it says Nevel Belshut HaTorah, which literally means a scoundrel within the framework of the Torah. That just because you have the right to do something doesn't make it morally right and correct. So I echo this statement as well. And while I believe in Salam's desire for statements, words are cheap, to be honest, folks. And I think our presence here and ongoing work is much more appropriate and will have further ramifications. While statements have their place, our actions need to speak louder than words. I guess I would be remiss in stating as well then, in that same vein of Nevel B'Shut HaTorah, just because you're allowed to do something doesn't make it morally right. We need to look and see whether it's Part 51 or whether it's any other issue. The exception of burning a divine holy book, that's reprehensible. But if you're talking where the will of the majority of the population is so resistant, can't we seek compromises? If we're trying to look at religious pluralism and acceptance, then we need to look at our actions, and we don't repeat the mistakes of the past and enduring polemical actions and statements just because we have the right to do something.
Thank you.
Part of the tragedy here is not so much that some kooky cult in Florida, I guess I shouldn't be disrespectful like that, but anyway, that's just the way I feel.
That's okay.
That a group of people would do this, but no one would hear about them. But it's in the media. Everybody hears about this. Everybody knows about what that little, and they've gotten their reward for what's going on. I think that's the sadness in our society. Yet this morning, I stood with Muslim youth. There were hundreds of Muslim youth up between 4th and 5th on Town Street. They'd closed off the street. It was Humanitarian Day for them in the inner city. And they came and they passed out food, and they passed out clothing, and they passed out, our church had donated hygiene kits, and book bags. They had doctors there that were giving them medical treatment. I mean, it was a glorious morning for these wonderful youth, and I hope some news people will pick up on it, but I bet very few will see it. There's America right there. That's the spirit of Islam, the spirit of America, where they're out in the community, building on what Randy said. Father Gregory Boyle, in his book, Tattoos on the Heart, he emphasized over and over again, there are those people who say the right things, and there are those people that are in the right place. And this morning, those youth were in inner city. They were in the right place, doing the right things. And that's what Islam is all about, is doing the right things and blessing people's lives. And probably nobody will hear anything about it. And that's the critical problem we face.